speak.
But a wonderful friend for a long, long, long time. When I showed up as Lieutenant Governor January 1990, knowing nothing, never having served elective office before, this was the wonderful young man who took me under his wing and showed me how to greet the people in the gallery and how to vote all the way the way he voted on tri-votes. And it worked really well. So happy Labor Day. It's wonderful to be back in Falls Church. April 21st, 1856. Stonemasons of Victoria, Australia decided to have a one-day work stoppage to protest for an eight-hour work day. It was like the first time people had ever done that. And so we imitated it, and supposedly a machinist named Matthew McGuire suggested the first Monday of September should be Labor Day, 1892. And Oregon adopted it right away, and then 1894, they made it a federal holiday. And now more than 160 countries celebrate Labor Day. It's very cool. I brush up on all my Labor Day history because there's usually nothing positive to say about labor in America. It's been just dismal year after year after year. So I'm so happy to come today and say things have turned around. Things are really good. So let me give you the good news. Number one, American public support for labor in America is at 71%. It's the highest it's been since 1865. And we're finding that like 210 Starbucks stores have organized, 35 in Virginia, Amazon, REI, Trader Joe's, even Activision Blizzard. I mean, all kinds of. My favorite one is Medieval Times. It's a supper club in New Jersey that voted to organize. So if you believe that the American middle class is built on organized labor, things are moving in the right direction. Even Amazon spent $4 million on outside consultants to keep their warehouse from organizing. That did nothing. And there's something like 250 unfair labor complaints against them just for all the things that they did. This is just against Starbucks, for things that we've seen in Northern Virginia, like you can't get a raise, you just canceled your health insurance, you can't get promoted, you can't shift stores. One store even closed rather than allow them to organize. So lots of things are moving in the right direction. Jerry Conley and I were up till 2:30 in the morning in June. We were like the last 5 people on the House floor, arguing for his amendment that would prohibit any president like Trump from doing the Schedule F for federal employees. Federal employees understand what this means. This is the executive order that Trump put in that would take tens of thousands of federal employees and make them political at will so that a president could fire them. Huge change to the federal workforce. Happily, a judge said he couldn't do it, but we got it put into the National Defense Authorization Act, and hopefully when it passes the Senate. Tim Kaine's carrying it there. No future president will be able to do that. And maybe most importantly of all, the PRO Act, which is the most positive labor act in our lives, passed the House in April 2021. We lost 1 Democrat in the House, only Henry Cuellar, who survived by a handful of votes in Texas. And in the Senate, we have 47 out of our 50 Democrats signed up. So all we need to do is elect, let's see, Tim Ryan in Ohio, and John Fetterman in Pennsylvania, and Sherry Beasley in North Carolina, and Manuela Barnes in Wisconsin, and Val Demings in Florida. We're just half of those. And we get rid of the filibuster, and we pass the PRO Act in the first quarter of 2023 and put it on Joe Biden's desk. And then all the good news will just get much, much better. By the way, we also have to hold the House, which is why when Marcus talks about re-electing Jennifer and Abigail and Elaine, we took back the U.S. House with 3 Virginia women, and we have to keep the U.S. House with 3 Virginia women. So anything we can do to move that in the right direction. One other deal, big picture, the real problem is that wealth has become ever more concentrated in the United States. And the big businesses just keep getting bigger and bigger and more concentrated. And fewer Americans are sharing in that wealth, as we've seen the lower third not get raises at all basically for 30 years. And the Inflation Reduction Act we just passed, which really should be called the Climate Change and Tax Act, because it's the biggest climate change bill in American history. We finally got a corporate minimum tax. Elizabeth Warren and I have been working for a couple of years now on wealth tax and corporate and wealth tax, surtaxes on income over $100 million. So only affect Marcus. And then a corporate minimum tax, because 20% of the Fortune 500 companies paid zero in taxes last year, including a couple of big ones here in Northern Virginia. So what we just did was pass a 15% minimum corporate tax. No matter how many deductions you have to pay at least 15%, which again moves us in the right direction. So I just want to say, this is, there's a lot left to do. I mean, I'm so glad we're going to take back the Virginia House and build on our Senate instead of the 2119 and keep the U.S. House and all this good stuff. But we have to do that because we have to keep this moving in the right direction so that every Labor Day we have lots of really good things to talk about. And we're doing it. We're getting there. And, for so long, it's been 60% of Americans, or 33%, now down to 6%, but it's moving in the other direction. You probably saw the Google story in the papers this morning that Unite here has organized thousands of the cafeteria workers at Google across the country. So there's lots of good news. But it's only happening because great Democrats are making this happen. And I'm very proud to be part of a party that puts people over politics, people over profit, people over greed and ego and narcissism. And I want to point out that 1894, that Labor Day, Grover Cleveland, a Democrat, was president. So we have always been the ones that have championed it. And I'm just so glad to be back here at the Ice Cream Social and building on everything we do in Falls Church. And by the way, thank you so much for 82% in June 2020. I love I'm so proud to represent Falls Church with the best turnout of any jurisdiction in Virginia and a very great Democratic performance. So Cindy, good job, and thank you very much for being here.